And welcome back to another episode of the Filmistines. Thank you guys for joining us today. Today I am joined by my healthcare provider, Lucy.
Hello, everyone.
Remember, you can join us every Monday and Friday for brand new episodes of the Filmistines and all of our free feeds, and every other Wednesday on patreon.com/Filmistines for Patreon exclusive episodes, like our recent Patreon exclusive episode, where we discussed the Harry Potter movie and book. Some other recent episodes include Happiness, Kinds of Kindness, Joker, the Joker sequel, Folie à Deux, and The Wild Robot. Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas on our Patreon as well. Come subscribe, come write in, come request a film. Go subscribe to our YouTube. Rate us on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate all the support. Thank you guys very much. But today we will be talking about Don Hall and Chris Williams' 2014 film, Big Hero 6. And I guess I'll just start off by saying that this is not a very good film.
What the fuck?
I think it's a pretty boring film.
What?
I think it does very little
What?
to set up what's happening, although not much is happening, of course. And I think the finale completely betrays Tadashi's sacrifice. But I'm very curious, because I know you like this film very much. I'd like for you to tell me why I'm wrong.
No, I'd like for you to tell me why you think the way you think right now. It doesn't take a genius to see why this is a good movie. It takes a real genius to see why this is a bad movie.
Well, thank you.
Can't wait to hear. But this is one of my favorite Disney movies. And it honestly doesn't feel like a Disney film. And it's a bit refreshing. It's a very cute coming-of-age story. But it tackles some very heavy themes, like grief, like loss, like learning to forgive in a very revengeful situation, friendship. And it tackles these themes in a very inorganic way. I love science and technology, especially in film. I always hope that movies like these spark some kind of scientific drive for not only kids, our future, but, for adults as well. You're never too old to want to learn anything. You're never too old to want to invent anything. Just having that learning capacity. And I think no matter how you want to incorporate any kind of scientific themes or technological themes, you're starting to build that spark. We have some very adorable characters in this movie, especially Baymax. Baymax is the cutest Disney character of all time. Is that a hot take? I don't know.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, is he cuter than Stitch? Of course. Is he cuter than Jack? Wally? I think so.
Oh, Jack sucks.
The only one that I might have to battle against is Olaf. Olaf is one of my favorite characters. And he has so much personality that it overwhelms his character, but I might argue Baymax is still cuter looking. Not only do we have Baymax, but we have some side characters that also have a lot of personality. Like Fred. I like Fred a lot. He's so stupid, but he's fantastic. And I mean, who else knows a bum or two at their university that's simply there for the vibe, for the enthusiasm? Are they still enrolled? I don't know, but they're here. Wasabi was also another favorite character of mine. I can always appreciate a character that states the obvious, states the facts. He's a bit of a control freak, and I love him. The visuals in this movie are amazing. The animation is amazing. The city looks awesome. When you first pan into the city in the introduction, we see that bridge. It looks amazing. We're going down alleys into the city. It's all colorful. It's all bright. It looks very futuristic. The score and the sound design are also cool. But the heart of the film is definitely the story. It's very simple, yet effective. This film always manages to get me to cry a little bit. That's not saying much, I guess, because I'm always crying in a film. But this is one of those that no matter how many times I rewatch, it can get the waterworks flowing.
Yeah, I hate that San Fransokyo is a pointless location. It's so underutilized. It's a beautiful set piece. And the animation is great, no doubt. It's a very slick looking Disney film. And I'll have to disagree a little bit because I think this film doesn't know what friendship is. Hiro doesn't know these were Takashi's friends. I know he introduced Hiro and all, but And they want to be there for him, of course, right? They lost a mutual person in their lives. There's obviously no development between the party and Hiro. The movie seems to be exclusively interested in Hiro's grief, which is very cool, I will say. But then it doesn't know how to land on a meaningful point other than this weird left turn of friends are the guys who are going to take you out of this. Okay, well then that kind of betrays some of Baymax's point to the story, who's there to ultimately help Hiro and others, right? That's his job. And I just can't get it out of my head how awesome it would have been if Baymax was that ending sacrifice, right? We had this kind of stupid sacrifice of Tadashi. I don't know why he ran in there.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just getting the ball rolling. I don't know the history between Tadashi and the professor and whatever. Okay.
He's just helpful. He wants to help.
And then we have some great scenes with Hiro moping about, not wanting to be around anybody, letting his responsibilities fall to the side. It's like, okay, now we're starting to set up something very interesting. And then Hiro stumbles into Baymax, and Baymax is here to provide some healthcare services. It's cute and all. He is a great character, Baymax. He's a great kind of sidekick. Yeah, he's probably the best out of all of Disney to ever be. But one of the really great things about this movie that the movie can't figure out how to handle is Hiro's relationship with Tadashi through Baymax. It doesn't seem to understand what Baymax ultimately represents to Hiro, and that is this kind of last glimmer of Tadashi. You feel me?
Well, I think that's obvious in the film.
And so, in that, Baymax is trying to help in the best ways he can, and it seemed like the film couldn't figure out that Hiro's problem was that closure. Hiro never got to say goodbye, kind of thing. And then we have this whole climactic thing at the end where they're in this interdimensional between space saving the astronaut lady, right? Where Baymax sacrifices himself, in quotes, right? But then the film pulls a super fast one on you, and then there was no sacrifice that happened. It's like, psych. Remember when you just cried about Baymax sacrificing himself, sort of like Tadashi did? And Hiro was able to have that closure? Psych, for nothing. I'm just like, what? You know what I'm saying? You feel me a little bit on this, right?
No, not at all. The friendship element is more with Baymax and Hiro. I'll agree that the other people aren't his friends' friends, but they're people that become friends in unexpected situations. Baymax is just getting this information from the internet that he needs close friends. Who are Hiro's friends? He doesn't have any.
Yeah.
But here are people trying to reach out to him that are connected to Tadashi in some sort of way, and that's who Baymax reaches out to. Because what's Baymax going to say? Well, you have no friends, which would be kind of funny because he is a robot, but he's a helpful robot. He's trying to pull wherever he can to make Hiro feel better. I don't think he develops a friendship with these people until maybe later on after the movie because he's grieving. He's not in a state where he can befriend anybody except Baymax at this point. Through Tadashi. That's their only connection. And there's several things that happen throughout the film, and I'll talk about them here in a second, that betray or that test Hiro and Baymax's relationship and friendship. The other people, Wasabi, Go-Go, Honey Lemon, Fred, they're all such good friends of Tadashi's that they're gonna step in for his little brother. I guess that's where my mind went with the friendship, not these are now Hiro's best friends forever.
No, totally. And I think you're actually sparking something really beautiful that the film still fails to recognize, and it's that, yes, Baymax is trying to take the right course of actions to heal Hiro, and that, he reads that, oh, people need friends. It's like, okay, that's very good. But then how beautiful would it have been if the film came to recognize that the healing someone like Hiro needs after a situation like that is this amorphous thing that is something you can't find online. A robot of any kind cannot necessarily help you in any kind of deliberate way, at least. But it requires, time or just the right circumstances to kind of just fall into place. There's not really a procedure, and the film seems to have a hard time recognizing that. Because I like what you're pointing at, where, oh, friends heal people. Yeah, they're part of that equation, potentially, for some people. But little does Baymax know, and I think the film, Baymax is doing the healing through offering this kind of last chance to connect with Tadashi, after death. You feel me?
Yeah, I feel you. And I sort of like this proceduralized way that Baymax basically comes up for Hiro. It's like in the future, not only, with us, but in the movie. AI is going to have such a big impact on how we take care of ourselves. And I guess that's what I meant in my introduction about it being so inorganic, because we don't know what that could possibly be. And I also like how basic Baymax is making it. Maybe it's for us people who tend to take things too far and tend to overthink things, when it's like, no, just go hang out with your friends. It can be that simple, especially in situations that Hiro finds himself in situations where you can't deal with a type of loss like that. And maybe it does take an inorganic thing like Baymax to help pull you out of that, because people tend to be too stuck in their heads.
And man, you are just reconfirming in my head and reassuring me, in Baymax reaching out to Tadashi's friends to connect with Hiro and to become friends can be such a beautiful ending note, if and only if Baymax is sacrificed in totality by the end.
Yes, I get that.
Because it's like a really bittersweet moment, right? We got our closure. Baymax saves the day. Hiro and them saved the day. They now have this new traumatic bonding experience, right?
Yeah, and to me, the end was more Hiro's journey than what we actually make of Baymax, which is, I guess, a little silly because Baymax is the center of the film.
Yeah.
But in the beginning of the film, Tadashi wants Hiro to make something of his life. He wants him to focus on something and make something of himself, and not just you do illegal bot fighting,
Yes.
So Baymax's sacrifice could have been it. That could have been the end of Baymax, but Hiro took Tadashi's journey to make maybe a better Baymax, another Baymax. He saw how helpful Baymax was and how a creature like Baymax could be very useful to the world. So he took it upon himself, this is his growth, to now create a new Baymax. And this might just be me, but what makes me so sad is that was Baymax prototype 001.
Yeah, sure.
And he's gone. He's still gone in my head. We didn't have him get re-alived.
That's fair.
Because he went down with the chip, he went down with all the data. I don't know how backing up data works in this world, but it still felt like a bittersweet loss.
Well, remember when Baymax launches his fist to save Hiro and the astronaut girl? What's her name? Amanda, maybe?
Callaghan's daughter.
Yeah. He has the healthcare chip in his hand, and Hiro finds it later, like falls to the ground or something.
Gotcha.
And that is kind of the core of my problem. If we would have ended on that sacrifice, and then Hiro has these newfound friends, and he's able to do something with his life, like Tadashi, I'm sure his aunt wants. There's something really amazing in that. I still don't think it's an excellent movie, but there's something very successful in that message. I love that. But like you said, the film doesn't seem to understand what it is completely, because it does focus entirely too much on Baymax. This isn't Baymax's journey. He's playing a part in helping Hiro heal. And that is his, by movie law, point in the film.
Yes, this isn't Baymax's journey, but he's the future. He's the innovation that's coming out of this story, which to me, I guess, is where the whole science and technology thing comes in, because the idea of a Baymax existing is just so amazing to me that I can't overlook that. I think it's such a genius idea. It is almost like Hiro's coming of age story is the B plot to this futuristic film. And yeah, I didn't remember that about the chip, that it was inside Baymax's fist. So maybe I have to rethink that a little bit, but maybe it was that piece of Tadashi he needed to be able to bring Baymax back to life, so to say.
So talk to me about this villain, Professor Callahan, and his daughter. We have this, kind of twist of his daughter being sent into the multiverse thing with the nebulous clouds and whatnot. Very pretty. It's this awkward setup that has no delivery, right? No payoff. It was very weird.
Yes, I'll agree with you there.
And we even have this really awkward kind of cinematic moment at the very end where I think she's in like a gurney or something, and he's being put in the back of a police car, almost hinting at like there's going to be some sort of exchange, some sort of acknowledgement, to kind of relieve some of this setup of the twist. I mean, that's kind of the big twist of the movie, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And it doesn't amount to one thing at all, except that we save little Junior Callahan. It's like, okay, well, we didn't know anything about this lady, so why do I care?
Yeah, I think Callahan's a bad villain.
Yeah, totally.
He's not very well developed, like you said. It's weird. It's awkward. He's basically just there to get the story moving along and to basically find out he has a kid that we need to save. As far as the daughter goes, I'm not sure on that. I like that we sacrificed Baymax for a human life. Whether we were connected to that human life or not, that's what he was programmed to do, to help. And would it have been better if it was a stranger? I don't know. It probably would have felt the same to me. Baymax's purpose.
No, yeah, totally. I mean, she was basically a stranger because Callahan was nothing either.
Yeah, and maybe it's some strange way of Callahan getting his karma. He wanted to save his daughter so bad, he did some evil things. And now he's going to be locked up and not have a life with his daughter. If that story would have been developed a bit better, it would have been sadder. And maybe that exchange at the end where he was basically forced in that police car without even getting to say anything to his daughter that he's been missing this whole time would have hit us a little harder. But that twist was a bit too rushed to at least hit us in the feels in that way. Because that scene where she gets saved hits me more, like I said, that Baymax is saving a human than who he's saving.
Would the villain have been better if it was Tadashi coming after Hiro for maybe being smarter than he is?
No, not at all. No, that would have hit. That would have been weird. I don't know what I would have made of myself if that would have been it.
It would have been pretty crazy for Hiro to be grieving over Tadashi's death when Tadashi is plotting something. We don't really have a motive, I guess, in that way, because Callahan is plotting against the corporate guy because he killed his daughter. It's like, okay, we have some motive.
Yep.
We would have to redesign the film enough to give Tadashi motive. I'm not sure if Hiro being smarter and having more potential is enough. But I feel like characters in movies have killed each other for less.
That's definitely true.
Yeah, I don't know how we fix the Callahan thing, because why do we care? It's Callahan, It's no different than it being revealed that it was his daughter in that capsule.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
It's just like an immediate gasp because you as a person know what this means, but you haven't earned that gasp. I love that we didn't make Baymax feel something. He's great at making others feel something, but he isn't a robot that learned to love or isn't a robot that learned to befriend others. He was a robot that was programmed to show others how to do these things. And I really love that because in films where we deal with an AI situation, and I guess let me specify kids' films where we deal with AI situations, we tend to give them emotions. And very recently, we watched The Wild Robot, and they gave her memories and emotions on how to love, how to feel something. And that sits weird with me. I don't think we handle these situations extremely well in kids' movies, or maybe animated movies, I don't know. Because in other movies, like Her, for example, we make the AI have such complex thoughts that they can come off as emotions. And that movie is done very well, that it also puts the audience in a perspective where we feel what the robot is feeling, even though we're actually not, even though the robot's actually not feeling anything. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, sure. It was kind of like what you're talking about in our Wild Robot episode, where what is the technology kind of saying in the film? The technology in the Wild Robot is meaningless. It's not about the technology, which introduces the question of it representing some kind of sci-fi film.
Yeah.
This film, Big Hero 6, is obviously much more sci-fi leaning because it has this emphasis of this really crazy tech having these kind of implications. But I do like the emphasis of the tech, the robot Baymax, because it also in its negative space emphasizes the necessity of each other, right?
Yeah.
And Baymax knows he can introduce that, but he couldn't in a million years understand why.
Yes. And I love that about it because it almost makes him innocent. And me and like so many other softies out there that tend to give emotions to inanimate objects or give a wider range of emotions to animals that probably don't have those emotions. But you're such a compassionate individual like me that I can't help but to give Baymax personalities, like being innocent. You know, is the robot really innocent? Then we just get into all these other philosophical things that I don't have the time to get into. But I love that his character design matches with the personality I give him the whole film, with his actions, with what he does. He's very round, he's very smooth, he's very fat. We don't really see any straight lines on his body.
I like that he's hollow.
Yes.
And they seem to make a point about that a time and time.
That's neat. That's very neat. It just adds to this non-aggressive personality. Like they say in the film, it gives him this huggable look. He's got short legs. He waddles. It's so adorable. It's charming. He's also white, which white tends to be a color represented for innocence, but also maybe, hospitals are so clean and white. It's a clean color. I'm just astonished by his character design because you don't tend to see many robots, many AIs in his form and represent so many things.
Yeah, for sure. His design, his color, the way he talks, the design language of Baymax is so crystal clear that when you see the wild robot, you are thinking Baymax when Rods is running around trying to help folks.
That awkwardness, yeah.
It almost feels like a ripoff to some degree. No one's going to be able to make a robot that helps in an innocent form and not also summon Baymax as a character in your mind's eye.
Yeah, for sure.
And the film recognizes that, I will say, but it also sort of betrays the plot in our main character, Hero. The film likes Baymax. The film does not like Hero. It doesn't want to deal with Hero's issues. It wants to focus on Baymax and the adventures of Baymax. It almost feels like it was a story production company conflict where we have this really cool character that we need to put at the center of the frame as much as possible, be the focus of attention, but the filmmakers, the storytellers, have some integrity and want to charge this film with a timeless story. And the film just ultimately can't decide which one's more important.
Well, I think they decided Baymax is more important.
I guess that's true. If we go with where we landed, the sticking point, Baymax is the winner here.
And you have such a badass character that it's so well developed then I'm not mad that this was their central idea. You had to do something with this character. And I think they still told a really good story. I just think it's not told quite as traditional as we tend to see in other films, in other kid animated films. It stands out to me. My favorite sequence in this movie, and this is the sequence that absolutely kills me. I'm bawling here. And it's not that manipulative bawling like maybe with him saving a human at the end with Callahan's daughter. But this is the real gut wrencher. And it's the sequence where Hiro removes his good healthcare chip and now Baymax is left with his evil chip. And just the complete violation of such an innocent character tears me up. Oh my gosh, it's such an amazing sequence. The action is crazy with all of them trying to stop Baymax. There's even a scene in there where Baymax is coming after Callahan from the shadows and you kind of see his silhouette and he doesn't look like the huggable Baymax you know, and his eyes are red and he's so scary looking. The gang is trying to stop him, but they're all getting hurt in the process. And it's scary because the whole time, if you didn't know, Baymax is a robot and he's an indestructible killing machine. And then if that scene already didn't make you feel for Baymax getting so violated by a friend, after, he's restored, Honey Lemon puts the chip back in, and then he's like, oh my god, what have I done? And then he's helping Fred up, and then Fred takes that step back, and you're like, no, Fred, he's still Baymax. This wasn't his fault. It's so good.
Yeah, that is probably, no doubt, the strongest scene in the film. I can't say we have all of our stages of overcoming grief within Hiro, but this is absolutely the moment where he snaps.
Yeah.
The anger comes out, and it's represented through Baymax.
Yes.
Great storytelling.
Yes.
We get amazing visuals. We get amazing responses from Baymax doing that and then cooling off. And yeah, Fred was like flinching.
Oh, man.
It's amazing.
One thing I didn't like about the film was the dialogue. And that's pretty big. But there were a lot of dialogue pieces that were just awkward. I don't know if they were awkward in a way that nobody talks like that, or if they were awkward in a way that it was said in a weird situation. And I guess my biggest example and my most awkward example was right in the beginning where we first meet them. Tadashi goes to rescue Hiro. Hiro jumps on the back of his bike and they're in a chase scene because Hiro messed with the wrong guys. And then Tadashi's like, you graduated high school at 13 and this is what you do with it?
I think that's the Marvel seeping in, the very modern Disney kind of...
like, tell me, don't show me.
Yeah, and bantering about and not knowing when to quit joking kind of thing. Like the film can spin almost anything into a joke.
But we had just started.
Well, I think that's just how a lot of movies are, especially Marvel movies.
And I hate that because the rest of the movie to me is so awesome. But the dialogue is such a big thing.
But I will say, I think the dialogue is less important in this film because unlike Marvel films, there's not a visual language that tells a story in Marvel.
True.
There's a visual language here. There's a so-called maybe cinematography here that gives you an idea of what characters are feeling and what's going on. If you were to put this movie on mute, you would probably get a little bit more of an effective story. If you put any Marvel movie on mute, you wouldn't know what's going on. Except maybe, I don't know, maybe the Guardians movies. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and that's a fair point. There's some other awkward dialogue with the ant interactions.
Oh, the ant's terrible.
Yeah. I like her. Or let's say, I want to like her. She's awkward.
She gives me like Jimmy Neutron vibes. Something from that world. And I think she's obviously supposed to be some kind of Aunt May character.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I'm not too sure, but I did like that she owned this weird, cross-culture shop. I wish we could have gotten more texture of what was going on in there, along with the rest of what was happening in San Fransokyo. What does Japan invading the United States look like? You know, like the aftermath, of course. How does that come to be? Like, why is there this complete melding of these two cultures where
Yeah.
we can almost cut them down the middle? It's very, I mean, I like it visually, but when you have something so cool, I feel like you need to explore it just a little bit. It can be in the background. I feel like the Despicable Me movie does a better job depicting San Francisco than Big Hero 6, San Fransokyo.
Yeah, that could be true. And you saying that makes me think about the characters we have, because Tadashi and Hiro don't look like they could be brothers. There's some sort of blend there between American and Asian. And then Honey Lemon's character throws me off a bit too, because she looks white, but she's got an accent. So there's something off about her too. There's not something quite as off as the rest of them, because Gogo just looks like a punk chick. Fred just looks like a surfer dude. Wasabi's just, a big tall guy. But even Aunt Cass looks off. And then we see some family pictures on her wall, and you see a little girl, and she kind of looks mixed, but then you see some Asian parents, and that's a very interesting point. I never thought about the city too much, except for when we see the bridge, or when we see Baymax getting on that little trolley looking thing in that very iconic hill in San Francisco. I don't know if it's just one or they all look like that. And then we get a little bit of some weird things in the sky. I don't know what those are either. They look like giant fans. I don't know if they're decorative or there for a purpose. And we do get a little bit of the illegal bot fights underground scene. We see a lot of different characters there. It's very interesting you say that. Did Baymax's battle suit give you Iron Man vibes?
Yeah, of course it did.
It was awesome. I loved it. I also loved that he had a prototype, kind of like how Iron Man had a prototype suit. It seems like there's a lot of other superhero films being sprinkled into this one that I never quite paid a lot of attention to.
Yeah, I feel you, and I have a hard time wrapping my mind around where does this fit in the Marvel universe, because it's supposedly a Marvel thing, and I guess I'm kind of curious if there's going to be a live action adaptation at some point.
I hope not.
Yeah, I don't know. But the suit was cool. The setup was cute. He's a robot battler, and that kind of trickles into teaching Baymax how to fight, getting him a suit and stuff, and that's cool.
I briefly wanted to talk about the score. The score was awesome in the whole film. It played so well in every scene it needed to, especially that sequence where Hero removes his chip. It's so powerful. And it had such a good soundtrack too. This is where that Immortal song came out of by Fall Out Boy. This song was made for this movie. It was played on repeat a lot, and I was fine with it. I love when bands, musicians make a specific song for a specific film. It just feels like a little bit more care went into it than if they just would have picked any song from somewhere else and put it there. I like that a lot.
All right, man. Well, thank you for watching this movie with me and talking about it here today.
You're welcome, I guess.
Do you have a budget guess?
I'm going with 100. It's Disney animated, so I know it's got to be up in the higher numbers. Don't think it's quite as high as like 150 or 200,
Well, it says here that it was $165 million.
Ooh, 160? That's a lot. Huh. Maybe it was to pay Fall Out Boy.
And over on Letterboxd with 1.83 million people, they weighed in at a 3.8.
3.8?
Yeah.
Isn't that what the Wild Robot got?
The Wild Robot was 4.3.
People think the Wild Robot is better than Big Hero 6? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, in general, that seems to be the case.
Interesting. I think this is a weird movie. I think there's a lot going on here that either you get it or you don't. And it definitely shows out there in the world of Disney, that Baymax and Friends are not as popular as they are in my head. I think this is such a cool story. I think it's such a neat idea. The idea of a Baymax is awesome. Baymax himself is awesome. I don't know why there's more Stitch merch out there than Baymax merch. No idea why. But I'm giving this movie a 4. It would be a 5 if, yes, maybe the Callahan story would have been better. And some of that dialogue just isn't the best. But I think the other aspects of it are so good that it brings the score up for me.
Yeah, I think Big Hero 6 is a solid 2 out of 5.
Ouch. You're hurting me. You're hurting me. Right in the feels.
But yeah, man, thank you again, and thank you guys for listening to this episode of The Filmsteins. Remember, we post every Monday and Friday with brand new episodes of The Filmsteins, and every other Wednesday on patreon.com/filmsteins for Patreon exclusive episodes. Our next episode will be on the 2024 release, The Substance. Very much looking forward to that.
The substance? What substance?
Please look forward to that. Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas on our Patreon as well. Come subscribe. Come right in. Go subscribe to our YouTube. We appreciate all the support. Thank you guys very much. But until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Filmsteins. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed the discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives on the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/filmsteins, and follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching and keep loving the magic of movies. This is The Filmsteins, signing off.